Applause. Of course, a huge victory. She took out the defending champion in the previous round. Such an easy player to like and to get behind. Really wears the emotions on her sleeve.
The girl no one saw coming the stadium didn't know what it was about to witness. And that's precisely what made the whole thing so extraordinary. Imagine being 21 years old. You walk onto the most legendary tennis court on earth, and half the crowd is still stumbling over your name. 10 days later, those same people are on their feet screaming. Flags are waving that nobody remembers bringing. Grown men halfway around the world are setting alarms at 3 a.m. just to watch a 40-second clip on repeat. What unfolded between that first confused silence and that final roar wasn't just a tennis story. It was the kind of moment that makes you feel like history is being rewritten right in front of your eyes. And if you think you already know the ending, you don't. Because the most powerful part of this story isn't the victory. It's what she did after the defeat. Let's go back 8 days before that silence swallowed center court hole. Nobody had her name circled. She was a side note, a pleasant first-round mention, maybe second if the draw was kind. Then gone. Back home. Buried under second-week headlines she was never supposed to be part of. That was the story everyone else had already written for her. She just never agreed to it. She grew up on courts that weren't always regulation size, sometimes shared with other sports entirely, in a country where the hunger for this game has always outrun the resources built to support it. So when she stepped onto grass this immaculate, this historic, nobody quite knew what pressure like that would reveal about a player like her. Then they found out. Her first real test wasn't some unseeded wild card. It was Swiatek, defending champion. A player who doesn't just defeat opponents, she systematically dismantles them, point by point, like she's working through a checklist. For a set and a half, that's exactly what it looked like. Another name, another box checked. Then, somewhere deep in that second set, something shifted. So quietly that even the commentators almost let it pass. Watch her eyes during that stretch. They never left the baseline. Not once did they drift toward the crowd. Not once did she flinch at the name on the other side of the net like a warning sign. That small detail meant everything. Her swings opened up. Her footwork arrived earlier. Nothing theatrical about it. No big emotional moment. Just quiet, relentless pressure, point after point, until the wall she was supposed to run into simply wasn't there anymore. Final point. Swiatek's return floats long, and for one full second, the entire stadium forgets how to function. No sound, no movement, just thousands of people holding one collective breath. Then the noise hits like a wave. Because a complete unknown just toppled a legend, and every single person inside that building knew. They'd just seen something they'd be telling stories about for years. BY Sunrise. It wasn't a tennis score anymore. It was every front page in the Philippines. Office workers were setting alarms 2 hours early just to re-watch it before their shifts. Students had exams the next morning. Didn't matter. Nobody was sleeping through this. But here's where the story should have quietly closed. Point one magical win. A beautiful headline. Then reality stepping back in, the way reality always does. Except reality had entirely different plans, because waiting in the fourth round was someone who understood grass better than nearly anyone left in the draw. Paolini, Wimbledon finalist just 2 years prior. Flat, fast, surgically efficient on exactly this type of surface. Built for grass the way some players just are while everyone else simply endures it. And there was history beneath the surface too. The kind that doesn't make highlight reels, but lives quietly in the back of a player's mind for months. Back in February in Dubai, Alex hadn't just beaten her, she'd dominated her. Paolini had carried that result in silence for 5 months, waiting for precisely the kind of stage where she could settle it properly. So when the draw brought them together, this stopped being a heartwarming underdog tale. It became something sharper, personal, unfinished business with a deadline. Walking out onto center court, the crowd wasn't settling in the polite, measured way fourth-round crowds usually do. This crowd was already loud before a single ball had been struck. Charged. The sound of people who had already decided they were about to witness something historic. That kind of collective belief changes the air inside a stadium. You can physically feel it before anything begins. Alex glanced into the stands at flags that hadn't existed there 7 days earlier. Paolini didn't look up once. First point. Alex's serve kicks wide. Paolini barely gets a racket on it. The roar that follows sounds like championship point. Way too early, way too loud. And for a moment, it feels like the fairy tale is just going to keep writing itself effortlessly. It doesn't point 2 games later. Alex nets a forehand she could make blindfolded on her worst day. Paolini holds, then holds again. And somewhere in that stretch, without anyone catching the exact moment it happened, this stopped being a coronation and became a genuine fight. The kind where momentum keeps changing hands like a card trick nobody can quite follow. Alex was winning the crowd. Paolini was winning the games. And that gap between adoration and actual scoreboard pressure, that's precisely where matches like this get decided. 30 all. A rally stretches past 10 shots, neither player giving a single inch. Then a return clips the line and dies before Paolini can even reach it. Breakpoint. Alex steps in, dares a big second serve, practically invites the aggression. Paolini obliges. Wrong decision. The return skids past her before she's even chosen a direction. Break. For just a moment, it looks like another fearless chapter writing itself. It isn't. Because Paolini doesn't blink. Not against this player. Not after Dubai. She breaks straight back, calm, almost unbothered. The specific composure that only comes from having already survived pressure exactly this size before. Even the commentators go quiet. That particular silence, the one where every person in the building is privately recalculating what kind of match they're actually watching. The rallies stretch longer now. 10 shots, 12. Neither woman willing to be the first to show fatigue. Alex serving to stay level. A brutal exchange. Then an error on a ball she'd normally track down without a second thought. Breakpoint again. She misses her spot by inches. Paolini doesn't miss hers. That's the entire difference. Break. Alex smiles anyway. Nods. More to herself than to her box. A gesture that says clearly, asterisk not done yet. But Paolini doesn't just protect the lead. She builds on it, closes the set 6-4 with a composure that makes every chaotic exchange before it look almost routine. Even though nothing about it had been the changeover, Alex sits staring into her racket strings like the answer might be buried somewhere inside them. And for the first time all tournament, a real question hangs over that stadium. Heavy enough that you can almost hear it out loud. Is this where the story ends? She doesn't know it yet, sitting in that chair, but the next 4 games are about to turn that question completely upside down. Here's something almost no one watching remembered in that moment. Earlier in this same tournament, in a match that most people outside the Philippines never even caught, Alex had already come back from a set down once before. Nobody was talking about that match anymore, not after the headlines she'd already stolen. But it's exactly why her coaching box never once looked panicked, even as the scoreboard insisted they should. She walks back out for the 3rd set like a different competitor. Not reckless, freer, stepping inside the baseline on Paolini's second serve, stealing time before Paolini can weaponize it against her. The crowd rebuilds itself slowly, excited but almost too afraid to believe, leaning forward in their seats anyway, because they physically cannot help it. Alex holds to love. Just like that, the entire rhythm of the match resets in a single service game. Deep into Paolini's next service game, 3 returns land heavier than anything Alex had attempted all match. The 3rd one flat, blistering, right down the middle past Paolini before she's finished her split step. Deuce. Deuce again. A let cord drops her way. Pure fortune. The kind that either cracks a match wide open or gets wasted entirely, depending on what happens in the next 3 seconds. No hesitation. She steps in and rips it cross court. Break. And this time the noise isn't celebration. It's relief. A completely different sound. An entire building exhaling all at once. That should have settled. It doesn't. Not immediately. Serving to consolidate the break, Alex slips to 15-30. Exactly the kind of moment where a comeback quietly unravels if you lose your grip for even a second. It doesn't unravel. 2 clean first serves. A forehand winner seals the hold. And somewhere down in the stands, a small cluster of Filipino supporters who boarded flights on almost no notice are filming with hands shaking too hard to keep the camera steady. Paolini refuses to give it away cleanly. Trades holds right back. But something has permanently shifted now. The momentum belongs to Alex. Lighter on her feet, faster to the ball, absolutely certain this set isn't slipping away from her a second time. Set point on her own serve. Wide delivery. Short reply. Clean forehand rocketed into open court. 3rd set to Alex. Match completely level. Somewhere in the crowd, a flag gets raised so high the person holding it nearly topples over entirely. And that should be the exhale moment, right? That should be the turning point where the underdog story finishes writing itself exactly the way every soul in that stadium is desperately willing it to. Except tennis doesn't care what you want. The deciding set that followed felt like something else entirely. Heavier, tighter. Every single point loaded with weight the first two sets simply hadn't carried. Because here's the detail almost nobody mentions enough. Paolini had already lived through a deciding set on this exact court. In her own run to a Wimbledon final 2 years earlier, Alex hadn't. Not at this level. Not with this much on the line. She kept swinging with the same fearless abandon that had dismantled a Grand Slam champion just days before. But Paolini started reading the patterns half a step earlier, anticipating the cross-court forehand before it had even left the strings. One small adjustment changed absolutely everything. Midway through the set, in a service game that felt like its own isolated hour, stretched across an entire stadium's collective held breath, Paolini finally earns the break she'd been hunting since the opening point of the match. Two impossible retrievals keep the game alive against all logic. Then one backhand clips the tape and falls on the wrong side. Break. And here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Center court doesn't turn on her. It goes quiet instead. That specific, aching quiet of thousands of people silently willing one player to find something more from somewhere, anywhere. For a stretch, it looks like she just might. She saves breakpoints with two audacious first serves that had no business landing, but they do. She chases down balls that should have been clean winners and somehow drags them back into rallies. Still smiling between points. Still not done. But serving at 3-4, she faces the hardest stretch of the entire 2.5 hours. Deuce. Deuce again. A rally stretches past 15 shots, both players refusing to blink first. And then finally, a backhand sails just long on break point. The break comes. And with it, the unmistakable feeling that this has entered its final chapter. Paolini serves for the match at 5-3. Alex attacks every single return like the scoreboard is lying. Fights for every inch. Refuses to hand over a single free point. But Paolini has closed out matches on courts exactly like this one before. And she finishes it the way only players who've genuinely reached a Wimbledon final know how to finish. One clean serve, one final forehand point 6-4, 4-6, 6-3, 2.5 hours. The most gripping tennis this entire tournament produced. And it's over at here's what you need to understand about what happens next. Because it's the part almost nobody expects. She doesn't collapse. Doesn't break down. She walks straight to the net, shakes hands, shares a warm and genuine embrace with the woman who just ended her run. And then the entire stadium rises. Not for a champion lifting a trophy. For a 21-year-old who spent 2 weeks completely rewriting what anyone believed was possible for her. She leaves London as the first player from her country to ever reach the 4th round of Wimbledon. A record that didn't exist 2 weeks earlier. One that now carries her name permanently. Clips of the upset win were already racking up millions of views before she'd even left the grounds that evening. Footage of her fighting back to level the third set spread just as fast. Because somewhere in the middle of that second week, this had quietly stopped being a sports story to here's the real twist. The one that matters far more than any scoreline. The scoreboard says she lost. Watch those 2.5 hours again, though, and you see something completely different. A player who refused to be rattled by a legendary name across the net. Who clawed back from a set down against an opponent carrying 5 months of personal motivation. Who pushed a deciding set to the final game while an entire nation stayed up past midnight, eyes fixed on a screen, afraid to look away. Paolini walked off finally having settled the one result that had quietly gnawed at her all season. And she'd need every last drop of that composure again within days. Because a quarterfinal spot meant another dangerous opponent, another full house, another story trying to end hers the exact same way she just ended this. 1.1 door closes. The next opens immediately. No time to savor a win. No time to grieve a loss. Her coach didn't say much afterward. Just stood near the tunnel with his arms folded, watching her walk off court. She picked up her bag. Took one last look around center court. The applause still hadn't stopped. Still hasn't, really. If you ask anyone who was inside that building 2 weeks earlier, nobody across the net from her would have given her name a second thought. That's no longer true. And it changed not on some forgotten outer court, but right there on center court itself. Twice. Against a defending champion and then a former finalist. In front of cameras that had barely learned to pronounce her name before that first return sailed long into the London sky. Results fade fast in professional tennis. That's just the brutal honesty of this sport. Next month brings new draws, new storylines, and most players who have one remarkable week get quietly forgotten within a season if they don't immediately build on it. But some results carry weight regardless of what follows. Because this one never measured a ranking point or a bracket position, it measured belief. Hers, and an entire nation's, built match by match across 2 weeks that nobody saw coming and that nobody who actually watched will forget anytime soon. She walked down that tunnel, out of the light, out of the noise, and somewhere behind her, center court was already resetting itself for whatever came next. The way tournaments always move on, indifferent and unsentimental. Except this time, it won't be forgotten quite so easily, because everyone inside that building now knows a name they didn't know 2 weeks ago. And if you've been paying any attention at all, you already know they won't stop watching for